What's up, guys? Welcome to Remax episode 7. This is a new episode. This is Tuesday, September 23rd. I have two new guests with me and then a returning old grandpa, aka Nathanias. So there was a lot going on last week, but first we're going to start with the intros. Some of you might not be too familiar with two new faces, Fenner and Iaguz. Fenner, how are you doing? And maybe introduce yourself a little to our people.
I'm doing pretty good, man. I don't know why my webcam keeps going supernova mode, but yeah, I'm doing pretty good. For people that don't know who I am, I'm a Zerg player in GM, and yeah, I play Zerg. I build Swarm hosts. I like Swarm hosts a lot.
Builds lots of Swarm hosts.
Yeah, I like Swarm hosts. They're pretty good, man.
Fenner's a scrappy Zerg player. He streams a lot. He casts for Root. He's a player on Root, and he's at the Root house. So yeah, he's a really nice guy. Iaguz, people probably saw you in WCS NA. You did you finished round of 16 recently. You had some good games. What else have you been up to lately? I know you went back to Australia, I think.
Well, I'm also in the Root House now, but yeah, I was in Australia for a bit.
Yeah.
But I got the Taiwan MSI Beat It thing coming up, so hopefully I'll do good in that.
Oh, you qualified for the NA region or the C region?
No, Australia region.
Oh, okay, nice. You finally defeated King Kong?
No, you didn't play in that one. I had to beat Petraeus.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess King Kong missed out. Nathanias, what about you?
What happened to Pig in that one?
Oh, yeah.
He's in Europe.
Oh, so you didn't even
Oh,
try?
he didn't play?
Nope.
Okay, I see. What about you, Nathanias? What have you been up to?
I was doing WCS America round of 16. I cast Redbull BattleGrounds to DC this last weekend, and I'm going to be at DreamHack Stockholm in this weekend.
It's your first DreamHack since a while, right?
It's my second one this year, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So now that we have that all of the out of the way, I guess a little intro for me. I always skip myself. Qualified for Copa America season finals in Peru. I'll be going to Peru in November. I'm happy. Life is good. All right, let's get started. We have a lot to talk about today. Despite being a slower week than usual, we're going to start in chronological order. So there's going to be two parts to the shows. First part will be WCS NA, GSL round of 16 / round of 8, and GSL round of 8. Sorry, I get confused there. And Redbull BattleGrounds DC. So let's start with WCS NA. I really wanted Iaguz. Oh wow, the link is broke. God damn it. I really wanted Iaguz' thoughts on his group and how it went. So the group A was Scarlet, Hero, Violet, and Iaguz. Iaguz had to play Scarlet in the first match, and apparently it was really exciting games. I couldn't really watch it because we were doing Remax, but I supported you in spirits, Iaguz. How did it go?
Yay. My games against Scarlet were closer than I thought. Like, I wasn't really sure I could beat any of these people, and I was happy that I at least, like, gave a good account of myself, but, a lot of people are, like, telling me after the third game that, oh, Swarmho is so OP, but I don't know, that's, like, the only time I've lost to them. Every time I play them, I usually beat them, but I mostly practice on Korea, and Swarmhosts haven't caught on there yet, so, like, I haven't really formulated a proper opinion yet. I think some of the Euro Terrans are really pissed off with Swarm hosts, but I don't know. Like, I haven't really played against Snoot Sparko 1,000 times yet. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like they're more pissed off than they have like a legit complaint. Like, you know, they're pissed off at the playstyle, not that it's like broken or anything. It just because like for a while Protoss like struggled versus Swarmos and had a lot of issues, and it's not as big of a problem now than it used to be. I don't know for you, Fenner. You seem to make a lot of angry people with Swarmos, but
Yeah, that's mostly Protoss, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get that many meching Terrans, so I haven't really been mixing it in ZVT because I like Roach Hydra, and it's really hard to get Swarmos when you go in Roach Hydra. It's usually just about pushing, as Nathanias knows.
Okay. And so your second match was versus Hero. You had some success previously versus, I think, Alicia last season?
yeah, Alicia and Jim for round of 32.
So that's that's a pretty solid performance last season. What happened versus Hero?
I don't know. First game I was playing, like, I opened kind of okay. and I went to mid game ahead. I don't know. Hero's really weird to play against. Like, he's not like a normal Protoss. He's not like a nice, friendly Protoss. He'll just sit on 3 base and wait. He's constantly moving his army like across the map, just to keep you being defensive for a bit. He'll have Templar everywhere. He's always doing one-buys and war prison plays. So when I was in like a good enough position that all I had to do was just move my army across the map without getting stormed and without having zealots in my base killing everything, I kind of just messed it up.
I see.
And the second game, he did like a proxy gate. He did like a proxy gate, but he moved his probe. Like, you know how you can gate the third on overgrowth?
Yeah.
Yeah, he put his gate there, and then he moved his probe so it looked like he was scouting from his base.
Oh.
So I saw it when I moved out with my scout, and I'm like, okay, it's not a proxy. I won't search for proxies like I do every other time I play on overgrowth.
That sounds like a really cool thing for Protoss to do on ladder. Like a really cheesy...
It's not cool. I have to look there now.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then there was just zealots by my expansion when I had a Reaver at Hero's base. So yeah, it kind of went downhill from there.
I see. Well, if you guys want to learn a cool new build, watch Game 2 of Hero vs. Iaguz. Nathanias,
don't do it.
Yeah.
Cool new build.
Yeah, of course. Nathanias, your thoughts on that group overall? Personally, I was sad that Scarlet didn't play Hero, but since you casted those games, what were your thoughts?
Well, I don't want to be that guy, but I was really holding out for you, I guess. That series, man, was so close. You were so close to killing her on that second game. We were like talking at the start of the match, like in between games, just like, man, it's like he's like so fucking close to like just completely cracking her, and then I mean, obviously Scarlet's really good, and her hold was really nice, but I was just like,
fights, man.
It was so close. But you know, it's really easy to overcommit, and I think oftentimes, even if you're ahead, it's hard to judge how much you can do versus Swarm Host just because no one does it, right? So I can't really blame you for what happened, and I think a lot of people. Well, actually, I won't say I think a lot of people have been wrecked against it. Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people have been wrecked. Like it's something that's a lot of Zergs have used when they're slightly behind to slowly come back. And I don't think it's because it's like broken or whatever. It's just different. It's so different that it's hard to know where to press your advantage against the Swarm Host player.
I don't know. You just split your army in half. Use one part of it to attract the locusts, whilst the other half just kills a base somewhere. And you just keep doing that. Problems I had where I kept losing medevacs. I kept committing too heavily into where she had Swarm Hosts, so I was getting into shit fights I need to avoid. And eventually she had so many meters, she could just fly up and kill my pit, and that's when I lost.
And preparation-wise, Iaguz, do you think if you would have beat Scarlet, do you think you could have done well versus Violet?
No idea.
No idea?
I can't say. I don't know what Violet's like. He's really weird. He's kind of aggressive too. And that's...
Violet's like a whole other animal of aggression compared to Scarlet. I agree.
Yeah.
I think he likes the Roach Hydra right now as well. So
yeah.
He does that sometimes. I watched quite a few VODs of him against Bolt and Tasha as well. And like every second or third game was Roach Hydra.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to spot when he's doing it, so I just had to like, okay, 2 Evos, no third, make tanks.
I see. Nathanias, any game you would recommend out of that group to anyone watching, Group A?
Man, there were. I'm trying to think which one, because I feel like I've seen so many games of StarCraft since then. Yeah. It's really difficult.
If you like watching Hero get cheesed, watch his games against Violet.
Hero versus Violet was really weird. The first series, Violet on Overgrowth, like, okay, yeah, because this would be my recommended game because I'm a cheesy piece of shit when I'm not playing Terran. Overgrowth, man, he pretty much, I don't want to say 7 Roach Rush because that I think doesn't do justice to how cheesy his build was, but like his build just absolutely wrecked Hero for being a greedy Protoss player. So Overgrowth was the first series Violet played versus Hero.
Was it off
Oh.
3 base or?
No, two
No,
base.
it was like 2 base. He had like no
Okay.
drones in his natural. Like
Did he
Hero.
walk queens across the map?
Oh, what a badass.
Yes.
Yeah,
Basic,
he did.
basically, to shortly summarize it, Hero went Nexus, Gate, Stargate, Phoenix, and he got like 8-9 roach rushed.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah,
cr-
it was like.
So
10
he
roaches.
died a horrible, painful death.
Oh.
Is really all that needs.
Oh,
to
was
be
it with feelings behind it or just roaches?
No,
I think
only
it was
roaches.
Yeah.
Just roaches.
Okay.
He just kept making roaches until Hero gave up.
Alright.
Before we move on from Group A, I have a little thing I want to talk, or ask Nathanias rather. A lot of people always raise concerns that, next year is going to be region locked, NA versus the level of NA versus the level of Korean players. Violet versus Eero Catalina. That last game of the day. Can we be real for a second?
That game was very sloppy.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Like, I feel like unless you're watching GSL or Pro League, you can't put them on a pedestal like every game. Like even at Red Bull, like they'll be sloppy, they'll make mistakes. Sure, they'll make.
Kyo,
Yeah, go ahead. I guess. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, Kyo vs Bolt on Catalina as well. For some reason, Catalina's the lodestone for derpiness. But yeah, like, he didn't have stim for 21 minutes. He had 2-2 before he had stim, and then when he got stim, he just figured, alright, it's time to aim over tank line.
Yeah, that's crazy how you can like not realize it. You must have been. Well, it's like one of his first tournaments overseas, so he was probably nervous. Cured, that is. But yeah.
It's just what happens, like, every now and then you just get derpy games from Koreans.
Yeah. Do you have
Rare.
Because I know Nathanias is a big defender of like the NA scene. So do you agree that those games and the level of NA?
So the thing is, like, there's like this weird thing where this is mostly what I've been looking at when I evaluate people's concerns about stuff like region lock or whatever they want to call it for WCS or any other tournament. Games tend to get better or scrappier on average as the skill between two players gets closer.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
True.
if Fenner
Yeah.
plays versus Zahn, it's a closer matchup than Fenner versus Innovation. And Fenner could play like a really sick, like 30-minute epic game against Zahn's mech with his like bullshit swarm host, and maybe if the game is still fun, people will like it even though it's not Korean players, and that's something that I feel most people aren't willing to accept because we obviously have a lot of unnecessary elitist bullshit when it comes to some people's thoughts on like how Starcraft should work as far as competition goes. But I think as long as you have like NA players practicing and you still try to maybe get some sort of contingency that it's played on NA ladder so that everybody practices against each other, then the skill level should be even enough that you could have, a Huck play versus Violet and have good games without needing to have, like Jaedong versus Tasia, which, as we've seen, has even a lot of those big name series. Some of them have been kind of, flaccid. Not really the most exciting ones, anyway.
Nice choice of word there. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think it was Tasia versus MC at Home Story Cup, the last one, made MC look really bad, and people were saying like, "Oh, MC's washed up. He's in Europe. Blah blah blah." Well,
That's just,
go ahead.
I don't know, that's just sort of what happens when a Korean, like, stays in foreigner town for too long. Eventually a foreigner will beat him, and eventually people think he's bad. Like, people think Bomber's bad, and then every now and then he fucking wrecks some Code S people.
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
not believing in Bomber at all this weekend, but
Yeah, like happens with Bomber, happens with MC, happens with probably some other Koreans. Like, just because they're not in Korea right now playing Code S, doesn't mean they suddenly become shit, just because they dropped a series here and there to a foreigner.
Yeah, everyone can lose games. Like, even if you're the best Korean, you're still gonna have, like, a certain win rate. No one's got 100% for sure.
yeah. So to finish round of 16 of WCSNA, the last group, the group of death, people called it. I'm not sure I agree because I'm one of the okay. So I'm conflicted because I want the NA scene to do well, but then I always root against the Koreans that play a lot in foreign tournaments like Jaedong and Tasia and Yeon. So I didn't really agree that it was the group of death. But I mean, it's the one with the most favorite, and Teja is really good, and Yon and Jaedong obviously have accomplished a lot. Pig BB finishing second, and Teja and Jaedong just not performing. Teja versus Pig BB, the last series, apparently was really was quite a wrecked. Nathanias, any thoughts on that game?
So this is where I go back into talking about how when players are closer in skill, it gives better games. Tasia versus Hyun was really back and forth, and there was like some really crazy shit that happened in that series that made it really fun to watch because it's very clear when you watch this series. And I mean, it was the
Winners match.
It was a winners match of that series, and it was very close. But when you watch, if anybody that watches the VODs or checks that out, like it's so obvious that those two players are really good that like you have an appreciation watching the match just being there and seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference between like that and something like Tasia versus Jaedong, which was pretty much just the ultimate reckoning. Like, yeah, I don't really, you could be a fan of Jaedong, and maybe you're Jaedong's biggest fan ever. Like, I don't really care. That series was not the most exciting one that we've ever had in WCS, right? Like, straight up, it was a pretty one-sided affair.
Did you expect that as well?
Tasia was crazy too. This hasn't been a hot year.
Bet on that.
I feel like this hasn't been a good year at all for Jaedong as far as WCS goes, at least. Like I would have, I would
just
never.
WCS. This just hasn't not been Jaedong's year.
Yeah, I wouldn't have taken. Well, I mean, he's still somehow barely squeezing into BlizzCon, but I wouldn't put any money.
Tournament.
Yeah, I wouldn't put any amount of money at all on Jaedong for any tournament. And I like him. We hang out at events. Like he's a cool guy. He just hasn't been having any success at all in tournaments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's his first year where he's not in a team house at all. So he's totally on his own.
Definitely shows. Yeah. It definitely shows.
So, Fenner, you put money on Jaedong, and how much did you lose?
What? No, I didn't put money on Jaedong. I put money on Jaedong to lose, man.
Oh, so how much did you win?
Oh.
Just $10, but... yeah, I don't know. I felt like before the series was on, I just had a feeling that Jaedong was going to lose, and I just watched the VODs right now because I didn't actually watch the games live.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was basically Tasia built 3CC, he rallied stuff across the map, and Jaedong eventually died.
You just made You made it look easy. Like if you had barcodes over both players' names, I think you would have had a lot of people be like, "Lol, NA player shouldn't be here," right? Something dumb like that.
Yeah. For sure.
Alright, that's interesting. And so yeah, Big BB and Yon ended up advancing. We're not going to review the round of 8. I know I had some requests, but it's in quite a while, right? October 11th. It's all in one weekend, right? So October 11 is the round of 8, and then you have the semifinals finishing the day after. Yes, alright, I answered my own question. Nathanias, Kappa.
You answered your own question, so I forgot it. What was the question again?
No, it's the round of 8. It's all in the same weekend. Are you guys doing a double header with EU?
I don't know. I don't know what EU's schedule is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's this really weird thing where sometimes schedules get changed last minute. But the thing about that is, I did want to say I was very happy to know that on the days where our schedule lined up with WCS Europe, and I guess we can talk about this later on when we talk about stream viewership, WCS Europe hosted the American channel for like, not a lot, obviously people leave towards the end of the stream, but for like a couple thousand viewers, and I think having the schedules for the broadcast line up like that is a really nice way to give just a little bit of an extra boost to either scene. Just sucks because obviously we don't have any content before then, we can't really reciprocate.
Yeah, for sure. There's always one party that's losing. But then again, if the NA scene or the NA viewers gets bigger...
I mean, it's all ESL, right,
yeah.
Kappa? So.
Yeah.
So, okay. That's cool. So the next topic will be GSL round of 8. A lot of good games. And a lot of race diversity. A lot of Zergs, a few Terrans that made it... Surprisingly, well, not surprising.
Getting wrecked.
Yeah. That's one thing that we'll talk about. We have a TvZ Strategy segment, which completely forgot to include anywhere in the dock, but it'll be after Red Bull TvZ, right? So
Wow, changing up the itinerary on me last minute.
oh, sorry, you were like, oh, I'm happy. This is such a light show. I want to go.
It's okay. Yeah. It's important to talk strategy.
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, okay, we'll just squeeze it in after Cure versus Solar and Innovation versus Dongrigu. So we had we're good. Like, we had the round of 8 for GSL last week, September 17 and then 7 19, and we had Cure and Innovation just smacking the shit out of Solar and Dongrigu. Fenner, did you watch Cure versus Solar?
We tried to watch them, but we couldn't get access to the VODs. So me and Iaguz have seen the first games, but we haven't seen any of the others,
Wow.
unfortunately.
All right, if someone wants to
there's some
sponsor a GSL account to the Root House, you can tweet at Fenner. His Twitter is listed right down there. But yeah, what was your first impression of the first game?
So I guess we'll go with DIG versus Innovation. It's kind of like DIG opened up in his standard Ling opener. He goes across the map, sees Innovation, but he doesn't realize that Innovation's actually going mech. So I looked at the VOD, and it wasn't until 15 minutes into the game that DIG actually realized that Innovation was playing mech. So if you get to that point, he had Mutaling Bane, he had a lot of Banelings, he had 2-2 on his melee upgrades, and then he was like, oh shit, this guy's going mech, I need to start Swarm Host right now. So 15 minutes he starts Swarm Hosts with no upgrades, no nothing, and then Innovation's like, hey man, I've got 4 base 200, I'm going to go kill you right now because you ain't got shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that was
like
basically it.
The Raven tank push they did against DRG that just slowly crawled across the map, which was pretty cool to watch. But the reason why the reason why you didn't see that too much when Terrans were using mech is because Zergs would know you're just going mech, and they would have enough. They would just be doing the Muta Swarm Host style. But because DRG figured it out too late, he didn't have enough time to switch into Muta Swarm Host. He just go roll.
Yeah, but speaking of Swarmos Muta style versus mech, it really feels like the Terran player is like hopeless, you know? You're just like hoping the Raven holds until like what? Like what's the end game goal?
The end game is 2 hours of slowly chipping away at the Zerg until he has no money left. Like you there's no point where you just go, right, I've got the composition, let's just move it into the Zerg and kill him. Like that doesn't happen.
If it's Muta Swarmers, it seems.
Go ahead, Fenner.
If it's Muta Swarmers, like it seems to come down to more to the Zerg player denying bases more than anything else. Like it's like if you got to deny the 4th, you got to deny the 5th. If you let the mech player get 4th, 5th bases, then it takes so long to win the game. You have to take like the whole map.
I see.
Yeah,
but
Terran is just waiting because he can't attack.
Okay, so it's literally like you wait until people mine out the map. So that's why you don't see a lot of mech then.
Well, you don't see a lot of mech.
It's soul crushing just to play, dude. I don't like playing it just because it's literally the most boring way to spend your whole entire day just to play one game. Like, come on.
And I don't even think it's that good. I think
it's good. I think it's good.
Oh boy.
Yeah? Well, why do you think it's good?
It just seems really strong. I mean, if the mech player gets his bases up, it's really hard to break, especially if you get into
if the
that
mech player
Raven
does
count
get it,
well.
if you get it all, then you get 20 Ravens, and you have a nice like setup, and you can eventually move into something, you know, whatever it is that your weird heart desires. Then things get really funky.
Raven siege tank, planetary sensor tower, missile turret, until Zerg has no money. Like this is the only way they could work consistently. I think there
you
were
were
a
playing
few.
that style as well, right? I
practiced it on Overgrowth to use against King Kong when I went back to Australia, and failed completely.
It's really funny you mentioned that because I saw that there's a little inside secret here. Those were some of the games that I saw from when Scarlett was practicing, when she was like studying. She was like looking through your VODs. A bunch of mech games. I'm like, does she think that he's gonna go mech? I'm like, I don't think Iaguz has done it in a little while, but
mind games.
That's good. Did you guys catch Cure vs Solar Game 1?
Yeah, I saw Game 1 of that. Iaguz didn't see it, but
I skipped it because Kyo lost. It seemed like a waste of time, but Fenner, take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the first game. It was pretty simple. He went for a big all-in off 3 base. Like the really old school Roach Speedbane, actually. I haven't seen it for a while. He just broke that one out. He rolled everything into Cure. Basically, you just build 3 base, you get a bunch of roaches, you get a bunch of speed veins. I think he hit with 1-1, I'm not sure.
And
But that's what you would normally do. And Cure just died.
Yeah. Even with Widow Mines? Like, did Cure have Widow Mines, or he went for tanks?
I think he opened with a Hellbat push, and Solar held it off pretty well, so there wouldn't have been many Widow Mines around.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm opened and flicking through the VOD. He went for like Hellbat Banshee, 3 base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so I guess it's like a nice reactive build from the Zerg. If you know your opponent's not gonna have a lot of Widow Mines, maybe? I'm a TvZ noob, I'm asking.
I think yeah, probably.
Okay.
It's going to be hard to hold either way if you don't know it's coming. I think he got caught off guard by it pretty hard.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you're doing anything involving speed roaches, if you hit when the Terran is halfway across the map and with his first 2 medevac move out, like if you catch him completely off guard at that point, you're probably gonna win.
Yeah, because then you rally into your own base, and if the Terran generally can't base, base trading Zergs with low armies just doesn't count army doesn't work because the way Berserk production is so.
It's like you can't go into a base race. Well, I mean when the roaches like, it's like guess you know what it's like, Nathanias, when you're moving out with like 20 Marines and 2 medevacs, and then suddenly roaches, and you're like, oh shit, because you have to lift, you have to pick up the Marines, boost them back. You won't be able to, and like they'll be unloading while the roaches are on top of you, and the Marines that couldn't fit in the medevac are just gonna die. It's horrible.
It's beautiful.
So if you can do that, you'll win. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So those were the first 2 matches. We had Cure win, Innovation win, and then Zest versus Rain. I don't know if you guys caught the game, but I watched them all, and I'm really sad. Like it's the end of an era. Like you always believed in Rain. You always thought like, oh, Rain will be the prophet that will save us all. And then at this point, after all the matches he's lost recently and the way he played versus Rain, I think it's time for the label of overrated to put on Rain. Like put him
overrated. He still got to the round of 8 though.
I mean, it's not. It's like he's completely failed. He's in the top 8 of probably all players right now.
No, I understand, but like, but like, if we thought he was the motherfucking prophet of Protoss, he was gonna.
How many people have we thought were the motherfucking prophet of Protoss? Like,
perhaps instead of propping him up as the best player ever, we could have simply done a solid to the viewers and been like, Rain's pretty good, instead of saying he's
still top 3, guys.
Right now, I'm all about that Zest circle jerk. So
yeah,
Zest is the best, right? Zest is the best. That's simple as that.
As long as he can.
Anybody who's seen his games in the last 2 months, it's really hard to argue. I thought he was gonna wreck Rain, and I wasn't surprised when he did. Unlike everybody else, I guess. I don't know.
As long as he can avoid playing Tasia, he'll probably win the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Tasia in the last 2 IMs has just wrecked Zest.
Yeah,
he's not playing Tasia.
Yeah, exactly. It's odd. Like, Tasia gets wrecked by Pig Baby, but he wrecks Zest.
Well, the thing is, Tasia is only good at crushing the dreams of people that think they know anything about StarCraft. So as soon as he plays versus someone that he should beat, Pig Baby, that's when he gets wrecked.
Yeah. But, I don't know, dude. Like, Zest lost so badly to Flash. Like, I thought...
the Flash was I think this is one of those moments where, regardless of however many people think, like, what race is strong at any point in time, it was so clear during that tournament and the last month of Flash's games that he was absolutely shitting on everybody. I think it's really hard to argue that anything happened other than Flash just annihilating him because he's Flash.
Okay.
No, I think part of it is the fact that they were teammates.
Yeah, that was
maybe that.
In 2 of those games, because I remember part of this series now. I remember, like, on Sejong, Flash evade Zest's natural, delayed it, and then he sent an SCV to where Zest put a proxy robo. Now, you don't do that against most Protosses, but if you know your teammate might like doing that, like...
Yeah.
That's what Flash was thinking.
Mm.
And secondly,
I don't
on merry-go-round, Zest had like that build that Zest does that fucking every Korean Protoss does now, which I hate. That 3 Blinkstalker Robo fast third build.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm pretty sure that's Zest's build, and Flash would have a lot of experience against it. And in that game, you saw Flash responded to it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
He opened Command Center first, didn't give a shit. He deflected the Blinkstalkers by not doing anything because he didn't actually have to, because he knew it was just a light pressure. And he had a third. Like, he had a third going up when the Blinkstalkers were attacking him. It was at the third, too. Like, he knew exactly what Zest was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
His time
I don't know
lined up
anything.
perfectly against him.
I don't know anything about PvT, but I remember watching some of those games and just remember Flash not scouting at all.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. I mean, like, KT is like the best Korean team, so it kind of sucks that these two really top players are on the same team, because when they play against each other, it's like sort of a letdown, because it's bound to be one-sided.
Not when Flash wins. That's not a letdown. Flash winning is never a letdown.
Yeah, is he your prophet?
He's not prophet. He's God.
I mean, can we be honest? Like, was anybody sad that Flash won at IM? Like, is there a single person out there except maybe the guy that like has a secret shrine in his closet about
maybe
Zest?
Zest was a bit sad that Flash won the IEM.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Zest was.
I kind of wanted it to.
Oh man, even Zest was probably out there popping champagne with them after the tournament. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted him to lose because I like watching God fall, but that's just me.
Sick bastard. Well, you also like to build swarm hosts, so there's nothing human left about you, Fenner.
You're just
Yeah.
evil.
Yeah,
But I still think it was amazing that he won, so
yeah.
it's good for the scene or whatever.
Mm-hmm. To wrap up GSL round of 8, so Zest crushing Rain, and then unless Nathanias saw the game, I don't think any of us
Zest
saw.
Rain?
No, Statsu.
Oh, Statsu? I did watch those games. It was it was the ultimate reckoning, no? Didn't Sue... Was it this tournament or another one where... No, I think it was this one. Sue did this really weird build on Catalina. The Cats build or whatever.
Didn't
Oh, yeah,
play-
no.
That was Kispa Cup. That was Kispa Cup.
Okay, in that case, I don't remember the games because he just kind of wrecked him. But I did watch them.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that stood out to me. It was also 3 in the morning after I got off a plane, so...
Yeah.
I reckon Sue is going to make it to the finals because he has to get second again.
Yeah. It's hard to have a so crushingly disappointing career of only getting second place if you don't get second place in every tournament. So he's got to get there.
Yeah, if you don't win the semis, you'll never get second.
So
The funny thing about Sue is I think he's still playing the Muta styles, which are kind of going out of fashion now.
Yeah.
Or at least the faster Muta styles.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still making it work. And he's been doing that since the last time he played in the Grand Finals, which was like, I don't know how long ago that was.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still sticking with it, which means he's confident with it.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the last survivors. Zerg really struggling lately in terms of win rate, pretty much anywhere.
I think they're doing okay against Protoss, but they're definitely struggling against Terran lately, since that patch.
So to wrap up GSL round of 8, Cure versus Innovation, Iaguz, sorry. Which is your favorite?
Hard to tell. I haven't seen as very much TvT out of Innovation recently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kill got wrecked for by Bomber, but Kill was playing shaky all weekend. Even which is still good enough to get second, probably.
Oh, your cam froze, by the way. If you could restart it, that'd be great.
What button does that?
I don't know. I don't know technology.
The camera button, man.
Yeah, there's a little camera button with.
Oh, you mean this one?
Yeah, and then press it back. Good job.
All right.
Good. So I'm just going to go with Innovation because Kill got blown up by Bomber, and Oregon Innovation's probably going to feel good about this.
Nathanias, what about you? Do you think it has the potential to be one of the best TVTs of all time? Like, it's a best of 7. You got Cure versus Innovation semifinals.
Oh, best of 7.
That match could actually be really awesome. It's just... It depends really heavily. Like, I guess we can dive in a little bit more into this when we start to talk about Red Bull. But TVT, it's TVT is TVT is TVT. It's very, very interesting place right now, the matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say.
yeah. Everyone just goes 12 gas and
It's
tries
not-
to kick the
yeah.
other guy in the nuts before he can get started.
Like, it's
It's
really
horrible. I fucking hate
re-
this matchup now.
it's not uncommon for the majority of my TVTs on any given day to be both of us killing all of each other's workers at the start and then playing out a 30-minute game, or it just ending at 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Because, like, historically, I'm not a big TVT watcher, but people always hype up Innovation versus Staja from, like, Newkirk Precinct, WCS, I think, Season 2.
That series
Oh
was
yeah,
epic.
like once you get past the like dick shanking phase,
There were some really good games.
DDC gets
like-
really good.
Yeah, there were some really good games at like DC. Like when we talk about that, like there were some games that were really bad though. Like you got to see the full array of them. But this also comes back to that point I was making earlier, where maybe not as relevant in single man tournaments like this with brackets, but like having players of the same skill really decreases the chance that you end up with really short, disappointing games.
Mm-hmm. Alright. So your favorite Innovation or Cure, Nathanias?
Man, you know, Innovation gave up his sweet everything that seemed really nice about going with Acer and all the foreign tournaments just to practice. I think he's going to turn back into an ungodly monster. So I want to put my money on him because I wasn't impressed by Cure at this last tournament. As good as he did, I still don't think he should have lost the way he did to Bomber.
How can you be unimpressed, man? He got top 2.
Yeah, but it was the performance for TVT. He forgot to build his stim, and basically off of a Raven killing 30 SCVs stayed in that game versus Pole. Like there's a couple of things I'm not satisfied with yet.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Fenner, Zest versus Sue. Favorite.
What? You're not going to ask me about a favorite in Cure and Innovation?
Oh, okay. What's your favorite for Cure Innovation, man? I'm sorry.
I'm going to go with Cure. I'm going to get on that hype train. He's been coming up lately. Maybe he had some nerve issues in the Red Bull games to get 4-0'd because he is a 6-6 player.
I take that.
Yeah.
Trust had similar issues when he played in Battlegrounds Detroit. He's like the Kespa player lost to Violet, and not a lot of people expected that.
Yeah. Like, Cure's obviously really, really good to get this far. Hopefully he can keep it going. And Zest vs Sue? I don't know, man. That's like, these games are all going to be really close. Like, Cure Innovation, there's not much between them. Zest vs Sue, there's probably not much between them.
Close.
Should be.
I think it'll
best
be a
of
good
7.
series to watch.
Yeah, these should all be amazing games, series even. Zest vs Sue. I mean, just the way Sue plays, since he's still confident in his muta style, I feel like he's onto something. Like, you don't keep going the same style for months and months and months if it's not doing well in practice. So since he's practiced it so much and he's still doing it, I think we're gonna have a Sue win. It's gonna be really close though. I'll go like 4-3 Sue or something like that.
Okay.
I still like Zest.
You still like Zest?
Still like Zest.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't think Zest can lose to Sue. I know you guys are living with Cats, and Cats is probably like hyping Sue and at breakfast, but yeah.
I reckon like he's gonna do at least one Cats build, and I'm betting that it's gonna work.
Oh
I
yeah,
would
for
bet
sure.
that the Cats build game works. Like I would put, I don't know, I put quite a bit on that.
Well, you just gotta find the right Cats hater and bet against him. Moving on to our next topic, Redbull Battleground Washington DC. So it was last weekend. We had Grandpa Nathanias casting along with Rotterdam, Day9, and Todd, Grumpy Todd. And it was 8 players, 3 qualifiers, 5 invites, lots of WCS points, lots of money. For some reason, I thought it was 50k to first, but it was 50k total. So that's really cool. And it was a different format. Well, not very different format, but not a lot of 8-player tournaments out there. So it was just 2 groups and 2 playoffs. And we'll dissect each group plus the playoffs, give our thoughts. So let's start with Group A, Nathanias. which game, Bomber Trap, SOS Dongrigu, which game would you recommend to anyone?
This series, a lot of these series were interesting. I think actually they were all 2-0s in this whole group. Like it was pretty every match seemed really one-sided, even though
every 2-0.
Like Trap. I'm trying to think, but none of these games really blew my mind in Group A. Yeah. Some of them were still like they were a bit hectic, but none of them really made me think, you know, the craziest, insane stuff.
What about you, Iaguz? I know you like to watch good TVPs. Did you enjoy Bomber versus Trap?
Well, watching Bomber win is always amazing.
Yeah.
He does crazy shit. I don't know. I actually really liked his DRG series. Like I've been trying that build out a bit, and even though I can't max at 13 minutes, like I have no idea how he can max that quickly. Jesus, that's insane. I'm like hovering around 170, 180.
He's so greedy. He's so greedy.
It's not the greedy. I'm being similarly greedy, and I can't get to max at 13 minutes.
Yeah. Bomber's also just really good at that.
I mean,
yeah.
He is
That's
still
Bomber.
pretty greedy. I'm surprised people don't one-base link bane him.
Like
It
no
should
scout,
work.
command center first and a third command center. Like
He's been going one racks triple CC these days, but even then, like he should be getting killed by one-base link bane. I'm surprised that hasn't happened
it's easy
yet.
to say that after the series. You can't just be like, oh man, I'm gonna link bane this guy.
Every series, just watch Bomber. Every TvZ series is just no scout 3cc, like 2 out of 3 games.
Is it just the series of Red Bull though, or for a long time?
Every series of Bomber.
Game. The only game that I did not see Bomber do that was the really fucked up game he had versus. Who was it on merry-go-round? Check. Yeah, Check. That and that was the one where his build, like, coincidentally ran into the Roach Bane. The one game he wasn't greedy was the one game he got Roach Baned, and he actually didn't die. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, but I've actually been messing around with that strategy, and it is absurd. Like, I don't know, when you're macroing like that, there's not enough banes. Yeah, Zerg doesn't have enough banes. It's crazy.
Like all you have to do is split at least as good as, like, I don't know, like a Platinum Leaguer, and you're okay.
Maybe a little bit better than a Plat Leaguer. Diamond Leaguer at least.
My point is, you have so much shit, it almost doesn't matter. Like, you're basically asking the Zerg to macro like Sue, right, at that point.
And that army composition... Oh, sorry, Iaguz, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, but they don't, and then you just win easy. It's so fucking good. I love that build.
It's Elbat Marine Marauder, right? With Medivacs?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so no mines in that composition.
No, and that's just because, like, I don't know. I don't think mines would be good in that composition.
Okay.
Just because, like, you've always got huge armies, and the more mines you've got, the trickier it starts being to spread them all. Like, if you're pushing with 6 mines, that's easy. You're pushing with, like, 10 mines, like, you're just going to have 4 mines that die to 3 banes. That sucks.
I see. But yeah, DRG bombing out of this group is a big story here. But DRG versus Bomber just being too good. SOS versus DRG, I feel like DRG just, you know, it was an NM to win. Fenner, did you catch DRG versus SOS?
No, I didn't catch those ones. I only caught the Bomber game. Oh, the Bomber games.
But Nathanias, what are your thoughts? Like, is DRG like gonna retire? Is he still good? Like, he recently beat Flash to make it to the round of 8 of GSL. Like, that's still a pretty good performance. But like, Red Bull was pretty important. Like, you'd think he'd bring all he could to the table.
Oh man, I really don't know. It didn't seem like he took, like, for example, like Bomber doesn't, like, just looking at the series against Bomber again, like, he doesn't really leave himself open to anything in the very early stages, even though he doesn't scout. So like DRG opening gas versus him just kind of seemed like a bit of like a lazy way, right? You're like, you're not going to beat him by playing a middle of the road style. And it just seemed that DRG picked middle of the road builds for like every game he played, and he just got wrecked because everybody else was really strong in one area that beats standard play.
I see. So
I mean, that's how every Zerg is playing right now, though. It's just, you open gas, you get speed, you take 30, you get 5 queens.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
It's just it just didn't. I mean, against Bomber though, you have to. Bomber just doesn't
Yeah.
play like any other normal sane player. That's, you know.
Well, it's also one of the first time in Dongregu's career that he's without a team, so maybe that could affect him. You know, not having a lot of feedback on his play on a daily basis
Maybe.
could hurt him.
Yeah.
Because if he's playing like middle of the road every time, he obviously has to mix it up. But someone has to. Sometimes you need like a outsider's point of view to really
Maybe.
realize what you're doing. So that was Group A. Bomber Trap made it. Trap, the only Protoss out of Red Bull to do anything. And Group B, I feel like was the sickest group you guys could ask for. Really good storylines, really good games. Cure beating Pult was good. Scarlet beating Parting is what we're really gonna talk about. Those games were crazy. Fenner, did you enjoy seeing a little bit of Cats in Scarlet's play in Game 1?
I definitely did. I think it's just interesting that Scarlet went that way instead of just playing a standard game, because I don't think in the past Scarlet's been that crazy. But in this series, she just went off the walls, did some crazy strategies. And they're both very strong. It's really weird that Parting didn't see it until so late as well. I don't know if he went to check the gold a lot, but it took so long to scout the hatchery in the main, even though he had a probe going around the main base. It's like, he should have caught on to something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think he scouted like both goals. Or no, at least the gold of Scarlet. But yeah, no, it's nice to see Scarlet mix it up, because, you know, you could almost compare her to Hydra. You know, Hydra wouldn't cheese to save his life. They always play macro, solid macro. Well, Hydra wasn't as solid as Scarlet used to be.
He did.
Or...
He would cheese sometimes, but it was usually when he was just Russell as fuck and just like, bugger it. Roach Bane.
Yeah, just the standard cheeses though, nothing crazy like that.
Yeah, nothing colorful like Roach Knight, like that Nidus Swarmhost thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all his hatcheries are just natural and third.
Yeah, that second game was painful to watch. It reminded me of I don't know if Nathanias, no one probably seen the game besides Rifkin, who was watching in chat. Todd versus Pig, and who's the best European? Yeah. It reminded me
soul crushing.
Yeah, it reminded me of that. It's like Parting, like, you know, he made an insane comeback, and then he derped so hard, you just like, you were disgusted. You didn't know how to feel about your life anymore. But yeah, Scarlet just bringing out the 2-base cheese. Parting really reacting slow, you know, trying to go for 2-base blink or 3-base blink with upgrades with no robo, and then gets his pants cut down without any robo versus the Swarmos. Fenner, are you inspired by Scarlet's play in that game with the Swarmos?
See, I've seen this strategy before.
Yeah.
I've used it before.
Yeah.
It's not my kind of style. I think it's pretty all in. But it's probably good against what Protoss are doing. Like every Protoss nowadays, it's like you get the Oracle and you take the third, or some kind of variation on that. Every single game, it's the same, and I think that is what is making Zerg players actually have a decent time in ZVP. It used to be that you'd be scared of 2-base all-ins all the time, and all these weird strategies that Protoss can do. But I feel like Protoss right now are playing very basic, and they're not mixing it up as much. Everybody is playing Oracle into third, into either Blink or some big all-in off 3-base, or straight into Robo or something like that.
What do you think the Protoss need to do? Like, bring back old cheese builds, or
bring back 2-base all-ins, man?
Yeah, they're not that good. There's like Rain has been doing on Deadwing as a Blink with +1 off of Forge Expand. And the way that wing works, the third, you can like blink down and shoot from below the third.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's been doing that build on stream, and he beat, I think it was someone in Kespa Cup, possibly, with it, and he was just so sick. No, not Kespa Cup. I think it was like his round of 16 or 32. He did that build. Might have been versus Effort. So, Scarlet beating Parting. Cure versus Scarlet is where we're going to talk a lot for the next 5-10 minutes, because I want to talk TvZ Strategy with that series.
Scarlet Fault as well.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting how Widow Mines can kill so much. I mean, you have to split, you have to be aware, but so many times Scarlet came in like a wrecking ball just to not notice a Widow Mine and lose like 10 Banelings or 20 Banelings and be behind. Fenner, your thoughts on Cure versus Scarlet?
Well, like, over the whole 2 series, Scarlet Cure and Scarlet Pol, you're seeing, like, Scarlet, I think she's playing way too aggressive. Like, all of the engagements, she gets really excited. Like, one game versus Pol, I think was on Nimbus. She cleans up the army really well. She gets a big lead. And I'm going to talk about the Pol series more, because Pol, he gets behind every game. He always does this 2-base pressure, which I don't really agree with, and Scarlet holds it perfectly every time. And then she gets a lead. She gets some really good engagements because she's good at taking engagements. But after she gets a really good engagement, she's like, I'm going to go push and win the game. And she rolls everything into the Terran base. Widow Mines blow everything up, and then she's like, she's 40 supply ahead or something like that, and it just goes down the drain.
I see.
That's definitely the story of Scarlet's ZVTs.
Yeah. And even though some games she didn't just throw all of the units into the Terran base, she still only took face-on engagements. So I think Iaguz commented on this as well. On Nimbus, like, Pult was expanding like crazy across the top left of the map, but she was never using muters to dive into bases. There was never any lings going around the side of the map for pick off bases or counterattack or anything like that. It was all constantly straight up engagements. And with the Widow Mines the way they are now, if you just do that style, eventually, the longer the game goes on, there's going to be at least one big Widow Mine hit.
Do you think, I'm really noob at TvZ, but do you think her map vetoes were bad? Because she played Overgrowth King Sejan twice versus Cure and Pult. You think, because you say like, oh, you should do a muta counterattack, but if the map is so small, then it's easier for the Terran to put on the pressure, right?
I don't think Overgrowth's that bad for Zerg.
Yeah, Overgrowth.
But I'm not really
nice.
sure. I'm not really sure what the good Zerg maps in the current pool are. Like, they were deliberately not great for Zerg this season, just because last season was pretty good.
Yeah, like, you don't want to play Catalina, you don't want to play Deadwing. Those two are gone straight away, and that's your vetoes probably.
Yeah, Catalina's hell for Zerg.
So that's where she would have put the veto. She doesn't really have a choice about that, because those two maps are disgusting.
I see. But also the win rate of TvZ has been really down the drain. I don't have the stats right now because I'm a bad host, but it's been something like 60% for Terran, so 55-60%. And the 8 recent Premier tournaments, it's mostly Terran wins. And in those games, it was just really hard for Scarlet to win. Is it a balance issue? Is it a map issue? Iaguz, since you have to defend your race, what's going on?
Do I? Yeah, I guess I did. I don't know. I think maybe Zergs just haven't quite adapted back again to Widow Mines, because I sort of it's just the circle of life. Terran gets something nice in a new patch or an expansion or new game. Zergs get smashed for a while. Zergs start to adapt. Patch hits in. Zergs dominate. And then we get something else again. It's a circle of TvZ life. And we're at that section of the circle where we have something shiny and nice, and Zergs need to start adapting before it gets nerfed and they dominate.
I do think the patches came out. I do think the patches came out a bit too quickly. Like, we had the Hellbats, then the Widow Mines, and the Thors. It's like all at once. It's a massive thing, and it's like, how long ago was it now when the Widow Mines were good again?
I don't think they come out too quickly, but I think you can only argue that it's being patched too often if the changes are bad, and I don't think there's been a lot of bad changes in HOTS.
Oh, I think it's too fast. Like, people don't get to adjust. I think people were still adjusting to Hellbat builds when the new Widow Mines came through. Like, some people were still trying to go into Roach. Now people are just going back into Lingbane. And like, Widow Mines were really strong back in the day. I remember like just before it got nerfed, it was like Innovation versus DRG and GSL like 2 years ago, and everyone was hyped that DRG beat Innovation, even though the Widow Mines were crazy and beating everyone. That was a 6 series, but yeah, I think
they got nerfed anyway.
Disregarding balance, like, balance doesn't matter too much when it comes down to it. Zerg players need to change the style. It hasn't been long since the patch has been out. And we've seen like the Swarmos come up from Snoot. I think that's one way to go, but just having straight on engagements, no counterattacks, no nothing, that's not the way to go about it. You need something else in there. The Swarmos help you with the Widow Mines if you can get the You can even think about playing Roach Hydra, but it's not as solid. So like you can mix that in sometimes. But yeah, just straight up engagements, Mutiling Bane. Eventually you'll take that Widow Miner. It's not going to be good. So Zerg players need to adjust. And I think the Swarm Host is the best thing that's come around to deal with it.
Oh god.
I don't.
No. Just
Don't you say that shit, Fenner.
no, but Mutiling Bane into Swarm Host, you need something to deal with.
Thankfully, most of my ladder opponents are still bad enough that they can't do the Swarm Host bullshit. Otherwise, I'd have to stop playing for a while.
I would agree that like you can't just play TvZ as just like okay macro drone bases defend. Eventually, Terran runs out of gas. Like I don't think that shit don't fly no more. You've either got to be finding ways to kill their SCVs, or somehow become such an engagement micro god that you can like win a fight and then quickly kill a base.
So here's
I do agree that they can't
just
sit defend.
Yeah. I think the funniest weird thing about all this mess is like, why did Terrans why did we think that we needed some help to even get a Widowmine patch? And as funny as it is to look at and say, it's like, well, you know, over a course of a 40-minute game, it's likely that a Widowmine will get a big detonation or hit or something. And I don't disagree with that, but it was the complete other way for Banelings, because a Zerg could almost always force a fight on creep when the Terran couldn't keep up the relentless, bullshit or whatever Widowmine pressure against Zerg. So if you were always at some point forced by Mutaharass to attack into a Zerg on creep, your Widowmines would never kill anything. Hellbats were trash once they had enough Banelings, and like there would always be a big Baneling detonation that reset your army, so you could never even attack a Zerg base, let alone clear up 6 or 7 creep tumors. So I still think there's like a couple of different ways to look at the problem on both sides, and why if you just nerfed Widowmines now, like suddenly as another Terran, like basically my game once again becomes okay. Yeah. Now I have to somehow defend against mutas, and once they get 20 or 30 of them and can start two-shotting my missile turrets, I'm completely fucked again.
Well, I think it's way too early to be like, oh, we need to nerf this shit. It's not even a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I just like trying to look at the problem from both sides. It's like, as a Terran, I understand, like, yeah, but you know how many games I've lost because I make one fuck up in my micro, and then all of a sudden 20 Marines die to 2 Banelings, and the Zerg, is like BMing me as he tells me to get the fuck out of the game, and I'm like, well, then my Widowmine kills 10 Banelings while I'm trying to hold an all-in off 3 bases or some shit, and the Zerg player's like, this is so stupid, like, I can't believe how easy it was for you to hold this. I'm like, fuck you, man.
I do have a suggestion. Play Korea ladder. They almost never BM.
That's why they can't speak. Most of them can't speak good enough English to BM, which is the best part.
Exactly.
That's why I like to play Korea.
And when they try, it's really funny.
That's what they'll say.
Yeah, Terran no mother. That's great.
Yeah, I think it should be like 3-6 months before they even think about a patch. You're gonna see that. I think you're gonna see. Sure. You're gonna see ZBT change a lot, just how people play it.
Yeah, they'll figure out like a few new tricks. Definitely something to do with mobility, I think, as far as Ling Bei Muta goes, because you can't just defend and take the fights. Particularly if they're going like Bio Thor Mine. Like when Zergs are just playing pure defense against that, it feels really good.
Yeah,
I just have a big pre-spread army, and they just can't engage it properly with Mutiling Bane.
Yeah, we saw Scarlet lose loads of mutas throughout this series where that wouldn't have happened pre-patch.
It's a fucking good composition.
What I would ask for is to see better Zergs playing against Terrans, but in my own, I guess, to counter my own statement is I was traveling and there's no way to watch GSL VODs on iOS, so I didn't get to see the GSL round of 8 games, but like maybe after watching them I could be like, this looks a little more dumb or not. But I still think
those as well. Yeah,
I still think that there's not high enough level TvZ being played or broadcasted, at least, for people to say, like, watching, as much as I love to be on the Jaedong Circle Jerk train, he's gonna lose to Tasia if he plays him 10 series pre-patch or post-patch, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like Tasia has had a much better year. He's very obviously playing better, and I would say right now is the better player. So, like, if you take matches like that into consideration for your Terran is OP, please nerf the shit out of Mines argument, then that's a little bit, you're reaching at some point.
If Blizzard would change the maps to give a better chance to Zerg, what kind of maps would we need to see for like to help Zerg?
Well, I don't think that's going to happen because we're getting Metalopolis back.
Yeah, I know. I
think we're screwed, guys.
Perhaps what Blizzard is trying to tell us is, hey, you guys worry about such dumb shit. Why don't you try having fun for a season? And then that's when that's when we all put on our monocles. We're like, I play this game so that I can tell Protoss players to commit suicide. I don't play this game to have fun going 2-port Banshee proxy Oracle inside of my own base. Like, maybe they're trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
But for maps, I think I was it 2 seasons ago, maybe I don't know. What was it last season? 1 or 2 seasons ago, the maps are really good for Zerg. It was like what was even in last season?
Was it
last
Yongsu?
No, Yonsu wasn't last season. I know Sejong and Overgrowth were in. Merry-Go-Round was in.
Hold on.
Yeah, they're the ones that are still in.
They still had Altazim and Frost, I think, last season.
Good old Frost.
Yeah, Frost is really nice. It's like right now.
Waystation.
Yeah.
Daedalus Point.
Waystation wasn't nice either.
Yeah, Daedalus Point.
I didn't play that one.
Yeah.
That was one of my betas.
Like these maps were pretty good for Zerg Kappa.
But yeah. It's just like the new season. You auto have to veto Deadwing and Catalina versus Terran, so you get no choice on the maps. You just have to play.
That's true. That's true.
I think Deadwing definitely needs to change.
Every Zerg that hasn't vetoed Deadwing versus Terran has sorely regretted it when there's a tank behind their mineral line.
Yeah.
Or you play versus that guy who's like, oh, free 4 bases. Let's planetary my 3rd and build Ravens. Like, oh no.
So you made innovation.
You know,
so
you're making me want to watch those games less and less the more you say that.
There were Swarm Hosts. Of course they were a fun game.
Oh, Swarm Hosts and Ravens. Oh, those units.
Alright.
It was actually fun. Like, it was a fun Swarm Host and Raven game. Because as soon as you made Ravens, you started attacking.
Fun. What is fun to you, you sick bastard?
Swarmers usually make for interesting games, man.
They make games interesting, but it's like, oh man,
it's just a bit slow. It just takes a while.
It's not fun. It's not fun playing versus Swarm Hosts. And I've played Swarm Host games versus Protoss and Terran, and I don't see the appeal. I've never had a game where I've been like, yes, I feel I can't wait to be, attempting to hold off like the 20 warp prisms fly. It's like, because you don't even think about the actual fight. You're just like, am I ready to stop all the warp prisms and oracles or void rays that are going to run by, because I know this guy can't touch me at the front of my base until he has like 20 carriers.
See, the way real men deal with that is they put Swarm Hosts in every base, and then they don't have to micro against the drops. That's actually what Snoot does. You don't have to micro against the drops at all.
You
just got your Locust popping out.
I didn't realize there was a way to simplify it even more than I had already had been.
That's the best way.
To wrap up the Group B, Pole versus Parting. I'm okay, Parting is an acquaintance of mine. He's the nicest guy ever, but Jesus Christ, did he play like shit. The game on Overgrowth, missing the force field, because the thing, Nathanias, you might not know, is he did SOS build. So SOS did, it's like one observer into War Prism, you go charge, you load up an Archon, you drop the main of the turn while he's moving out across the map, and then he's fucking scrambling to defend 9 Zealot and 1 Archon in his space.
I fucking hate that.
Yeah, but you need to have 3 sentries at home, he only had 2, and you need good force fields. And so what happened on Overgrowth, Parting versus Pulled, for me, which was really disappointing, was just Parting butched the force fields and died, and then tried to come back, but it was just too late. And so Pulled versus Parting, I don't know, laddering for a week on an A probably didn't help.
No.
Yeah.
All those games he lost versus Hitman really showed him how to hold off against Pulled builds, right?
Yeah. But did you cast the games? Did you see the games, Nathanias? Are you as disappointed as I am, or?
So there's something I want to say about Parting because he's still he was like the most cheerful motherfucker. I've never seen somebody lose every map in a tournament that they played, basically lose every map, and have such a big smile on his face. This is one of those times, and I would say you have a guy that got cheesed out of a tournament. No one played straight up versus him in almost any of those games. Scarlet did like some cheesy or that weird shit that we saw. Polt had some really weird fucking builds too. Like on Merry-Go-Round, he had that. I was actually sitting next to Illusion watching that game. I'm like, this looks like the kind of build you would use and then lose very very fast with, because the build didn't really make any sense. But it was just weird enough that obviously Parting wasn't prepared to deal with it. So for things like that, I think
the Sejong build. That was fun too. You just make 6 Hellions and all your probes are gone.
Yeah, exactly.
He just ran 6 Hellions into the natural. Like, fuck, is that how easy it is to beat an SKT Protoss?
Apparently. So nobody played straight up against Parting. I think if anybody, like if there were any games that anyone played against Parting that hit the 25-minute mark, like 25, 30-minute mark without Parting obviously losing half his probes at the start of the game, like I think Parting wrecks anybody in this tournament. He was my pick to win the whole thing, and I was really caught off guard by how effective everybody's aggression in the early game was versus him.
Okay. Yeah, I'm quickly a hater, so I agree. What you say makes sense. Parting, there's still hope for Parting, despite leaving SKT. So that wraps up Group B. Cure Polt finishing top 2 in that group, which leaves us with a very heavy Terran final day. And people, we talked about Terran not being in balance versus Zerg, but personally, I think you guys need to get ready for the TVT finals and the TVT semifinals. A new era is coming.
Is this our new reality?
Yes, the GOM TVT days might be back. We had a nail-biting series, Bomber versus Polt 3-2 Iaguz. Did you see the games?
Yeah, I've watched them like several times. I'm kind of confused in TVT, so I figure I'll just play like Bomber and maybe that'll work. It worked for him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bomber's a really wacky TVT player in that he kind of almost plays it like TVP. Like, Hugh Macro is funny, but also quite effectively. He just has, like, you watched his game versus Polt on Merry-Go-Round, and they do a very similar build, like tech into expand. Like Polt makes a few Banshees, doesn't really kill very much, whatever. And then they just make stuff, and at about 13 minutes or 12 minutes, Bomber's walking up to Polt's base. And he has the same amount of tanks, he has 1-1, they both have 1-1, they both have like medevacs. For some reason he has 30 more Marines. What the fuck is with that? He has 55 Marines to 25. It's so wacky.
Yeah, but I don't know if Nathanias will agree, but historically Polt doesn't have the greatest macro.
Polt's a guy that relies on consistent, I'd say, control and flashy builds, not the guy that is going to ever go, I think, the Bomber build, command center first, 1 barracks, 3rd command center. That's just not him,
But he had, like, they were both doing 2CC builds, and he had less than half of Bomber's Marines. There's not as good at macro, and there's having half the fucking Marine count. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Not being good at macro, I'd say maybe a 10-15 Marines down, not 30.
I don't know. Polt, there's builds and games that I expect Polt to be really good at, but then there will always be like players I think in a straight up macro game like Polt just shouldn't be able to beat, and Bomber is one of those guys.
Maybe.
It was funny how Bomber almost threw when he lost the medevacs on King Sejong, and then he lost the game quickly after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roddy and I were talking about that. I was like, Bomber doesn't drop a map the whole tournament, and then within the span of 7 minutes loses 2 games because he, that game wasn't, he was behind on the King Sejong Station game, but it wasn't over by any means. And the fact that, like, he
was in a pretty terrible spot. He was in a really bad spot.
I don't think it was unmanageable. Yeah, before the medevacs died,
against
I think
Polt,
it was
against like most normal terms.
He was behind, but he was behind. But I think it's not an unmanageable situation. Like there's, you know, in Terran versus Terran, if you can get a good position with your tanks, like shit can always happen, and that with like the big drops. So, like I liked Pult's spot, but like Bomber completely threw away any chances at the game with that move. Like it's inexcusable, really.
Oh yeah, no, that was really dumb. It was kind of funny. It kind of reminded me of like that 4GG vs Stefano gif.
Yeah,
you know, like
it's like, oh, this will never happen to me.
All the medevacs load up, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
Oh well, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, he was 20 supply behind, and he was also quite behind on the upgrades. But I mean, he sniped the third, so he was in a decent position to like make the game last longer. You know, the Bomber's a scrappy
I was
dude.
pretty sure, like that little area that Pulp had on Bomber's natural is just going to keep like getting worse. I was pretty sure he was screwed, and then that happened. I was like, oh well.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That saved a lot of time.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's like 8 medevacs worth of units, and then he knows like right after. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I don't know. A few of the maps in the current pool as well, like playing TvT on them is just god awful.
Yeah.
Like that. Like Catalina and Nimbus right now, every time I play TvT on
Catalina.
those two maps, I just want to punch something.
Catalina and Nimbus are really just so awful to play on for TvT.
Yeah.
Why?
Fuck those maps.
Fast drop builds,
medevacs.
stupid good.
Yeah, like Catalina, almost everyone's going like that Marine Hellion elevator
gas
or that mine
Marine
drop.
Elevator. Yeah, exactly. That
Everyone's
is
gonna
every single game. Every single one,
it's
without
like,
fail.
every single game's like gas first in TvT these days, which is like kind of suck, but okay, whatever. But on a map like Catalina and Nimbus, where it's like you can just be playing and trying to play a normal game, and you get into mid game and suddenly 6 medevacs. Like Nimbus in particular, the natural. Like if you spawn clockwise to your opponent, so if you spawn counterclockwise to your opponent, your natural is just like their playground.
Yeah, well, welcome to TvT, buddy. TVP, I mean, freaking Nimbus is so OP.
Yeah, but what about Pig Baby versus Tasia? Just build 7 photon cannons in your natural.
Yeah.
But
why don't you do that, desRow? Why don't you make 7 fucking cannons?
Can we be serious for a second though? I think it's even in TvT we could probably take a lesson from this. People have been building stupid amounts of static defense in that map versus Terran, and it's actually worked though. Like the drops have really slowed down as people built more, and I think we've reached one of those situations where the standard argument of it's a waste of money to do it is kind of like I think it applies because the map asks for it too much and is silly. Like I don't know if you can pull up the Pig Baby game versus Tasia. I think it was game 2.
Oh yes, I will.
In the final match, like Pig Baby actually has it was like maybe 6 or 7 photon cannons, and he overcharges the Nexus, and Tasia drops maybe like 6 or 7 full medevacs, and he completely loses everything like instantly. And if the way that the map is laid out, like you can put your actual army like right next to the entrance of your main and your third base. So like putting a shit ton of static defense in your naturals, I think it's actually not that bad of an idea. Like there's nowhere else that you really need to build static defense.
Yeah, but buddy, man, like
obviously
no,
you don't want to have to do that.
No, but Pig Baby had it easy. You want to know why? Because the main of Tasia was top right. It wasn't close to his natural.
Yeah, that's true. That's also true. I still think it applies though.
Yeah. If like someone is having the worst win rate in TVP and you want to make a change in this world, go watch every Nimbus TVP game and go pile up the stats of those 2 spawning locations where the main of the Terran is close to the natural of the Protoss. Yeah, and I swear to fucking God.
Yeah, the win rate's probably like complete. Yeah,
like,
I agree.
You don't.
If I spawn in bottom left and the Zerg or Protoss are in the bottom right, like I mean, I'm pretty much already like thinking what I'm going to spend my ladder points on. You know.
I feel like it should be a 3-player map, almost like at this point. But it's impossible to. Yeah, I see the 4 medevacs. Oh my God.
Yeah, like
dude, it's 5 cannons. What the fuck?
It's pretty.
This defense is so sick.
Wow.
I was just gonna say it's pretty funny playing TvT like that because normally you rally normally in this game you rally to like the path leading into your base, but on Nimbus you rally onto your natural because that's where his fucking medevacs are gonna show up every time. And my Marines are at the ramp like, we're useless. The tanks are sieged.
Yeah.
So in short, fuck Nimbus.
I mean, yeah, okay. I feel, yeah, either remove Nimbus or.
But do we have to completely write the map off? Because we're probably never going to see it again after this season, right?
Well,
Like,
yeah.
do we write it off as Nimbus was the worst map ever, or there was just like a couple of things that really like
It's not that bad.
Is this
It's
map
not that
design
bad.
reusable with a couple of tweaks though,
Eh,
or maybe just
Well,
spawn
the part of-
adjustments?
The part of Nimbus I just like is we don't have maps where there's like the backdoor natural and they're really easy to wall off main. The last map we had that was like that was Alta Zim. And that map was just too fucking big. I hated that map.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so same concept,
it's-
but different
yeah.
layout.
Same concept, but I don't know. It's just like 4-player maps tend to have spawn inequality.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Nimbus suffers from that.
I mean,
I think that's the main problem with this entire season is like everything's a 4-player map and nobody likes to play on them.
well, especially when you play Swarmos, then you're struggling,
No,
right?
only
Fenner?
Deadwing. No, wait. Only Deadwing's a 3-player map now.
Yeah,
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 It's just
Deadwing
like a
was.
4-player map.
Basically, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's just Nimbus and what else?
But
There's
Zergs
a lot
don't
of
push
four-
Deadwing, so.
Like,
I mean,
there's a
every
lot of
map added
three-player
this season
maps.
was 4-player, right?
there's a lot of 3-player maps.
I mean, all the maps that were
Oh,
added.
3 or 4. Yeah, I mean, 3 is the same as 4.
I mean,
man.
what's the
I still
difference
don't like
between
No,
that.
what's the
three's
difference
fine.
between Catalina and Deadwing when
No.
it comes to spawns, right, Kappa?
Yeah, I mean, there's a Foxtrot, which is like a 2-player map, almost.
Dude,
It
Foxtrot.
is.
Foxtrot went too. I don't think the layout of the map once you get past the initial spawning locations is kind of cool, but like the problem with Foxtrot is you're never gonna have Protosses not veto that versus Zerg because of the way like I watched CJ Hero versus Snoot, and Snoot literally just rushed like 6 roaches with speedlings, and Hero couldn't wall off because it was so far away from his natural that the photon overcharge can't protect it, so he just got wrecked like
Oh,
super
wow.
fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like that map is absolutely horrible for Protoss versus Zerg, and if you do anything like on the other spawn where you have like the 2 different sets of rocks and the ramp, like you can't defend all of it against like the random shit that people can throw at you. Like it's just no. Like I don't like it. As Terran is probably the most flexible when it comes to maps, so I don't hate those maps as much. I play on Foxtrot. But like, I can't think of any reason why a sane Protoss would ever want to play against a Zerg on Foxtrot.
Yeah, no, I agree. Some of these spawns are really hard to execute. So to wrap up DC real quick so we can move on to other things. Trap versus Cure, Catalina. Why are you hiding your face, Nathanias?
That map. That was a really crazy one.
That was one of the best games. Like, I know it's easy to say that, but like the way he came back by like making more sentries at his natural, and he just kept
And that
holding-
Oracle.
Yeah, that Oracle too.
Yeah, and then when it died, he just made a new one, and it killed like 30 more SCVs.
Yeah, you pick an army composition that generally like, most people will, say, man, it shouldn't work. Why would you not go straight for Colossus? But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's really
There might be-
it's surprising how effective it was.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Iaguz? You were gonna say something.
I don't know. I was just saying, like, Charge-Lot Templar is somewhat maligned, but I think you can get away with it if you've got, like, a cutesy aggressive move, like that Warp Prism with an Archon in it, for example.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good way to play Charge-Lot Archon, because the Terran just lost 15 SCVs to a fucking Archon in his lane.
Can I just say, like, I didn't find Cure's play on the map is particularly impressive, but once again, we had a situation where, like, Pulver's parting, you got, like, a couple of, like, really good aggressive moves at the start, because the map's just stupid for Terran with how open it is for drops. So, like, oh man, Trap played really, really well, given the circumstances, and I really would have liked to see this game if Kier wasn't able to get so many free pickups at the start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I feel like on a different map, this game plays out completely differently with how well Trap controlled that army composition.
Yeah, no, that's.
Catalina just seems really hard for Protosses when they're not opening Blink, though.
It's so
This
wide.
is just
Well, the argument that maps have a big influence on TVX right now, I think, is always true. Terran, like to be totally honest, Terran is the only race. Zerg to a lesser extent also because they have creep spread, but like is the only race that really doesn't give a fuck about where that third base is. Like The only thing about any of these maps that make me think about third bases are if I'm playing against Fenner and I have to wait for a Roach Hydra all-in to hit my base. And I'm like, well, on merry-go-round, it's super fucking hard to hold that. And then it's a little bit easier on, like, Foxtrot or something. I don't know. But I guess outside of that, Protoss players are always going to have a really exposed third on merry-go-round. Their third's always going to be exposed on Catalina. And, like, yeah, their third's just exposed, like, on all the maps this season. But, they've started to deal with it a bit better. But I guess that's why they like maps like King's Sejong Station.
I just think Catalina's tough for Protoss because, like, their airspace is huge. Medevacs everywhere.
Yeah. And one thing, too, that really pissed me off about Catalina before we move on is Cure got the better spawn out of all the spawns on the map. Because the left side doesn't have a lot of airspace behind the main compared to any other spawn on the map.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's fucking bullshit.
Oracle didn't have anywhere to go, yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit. The worst spawn versus motherfucking Terran. He almost made it work, but he threw at the end. But, so yeah, I think, I mean, it's really hard to have good symmetry, but when you have, like, a spawn that affects the game that much, I think it's a little bit lame. So, hopefully, Season 1, 2015, fucking the Pro League scientists can sit down with Blizzard and get us some good maps.
Yeah, we need more Pro League.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
We can agree on that.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about Pro League, and something that I'm hoping we can get a little bit of as far as the madness goes in the WCS off-season when we have a bunch of bullshit maps on ladder, is people finding something weird that they can do and doing it really well. Like, I don't know about you guys, but whether or not it was a good strategy to use every game, I really enjoyed seeing every week Fantasy bust out a different variation of his, like, factory opening into bio or his bio opening into mech. Like, maybe it's not... Obviously, it's not a staple if anybody uses it these days, at least not that I see. But it's really cool when players have time to prepare against particular opponents that we get a much better variety of strategy because you don't have to play so many fucking games that everybody has a good amount of material to study you. You know, like, if everybody only played one series a week,
Watching Fantasy's TvZs on Outboxer and Pro League, everyone was just amazing.
It was so fun. It was so fun, and that's what I'm that's like the number one thing. I'm hoping.
Was that the one versus life?
He did it versus a bunch of guys. But like he made a tiny adjustment every week that he did it.
Shit against everyone.
Yeah, it was so cool. It was so cool to watch because Fantasy doesn't play anything else that gets broadcasted, so he has a whole week to practice and get this shit together, and then you can win with it because you just prepared well and not because, oh, well, obviously he's going to do this, so if I just outplay him, I'll win. It's like, no, you have to be able to survive the metagame, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the highlights from Pro League as well, Bjorn coming out with the mech builds versus Protoss.
Yeah!
Yeah, that's always a lot of fun. Yeah. And who knows, maybe the rumors of YoFlash Wolf being in Pro League could make for some interesting match. You know, Haz, the Taiwanese Protoss.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
We could have some sick cheese.
Dude, imagine if that guy, every week, he's just like, what cheese shall I carve today?
Can we just get on to the next segment?
Yes.
I feel like they would get wrecked, though, if they were in Pro League.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, but, I mean...
It'd be fun, but they'd get wrecked.
Yeah, but you need someone to get wrecked. Like, it was Prime, now it's going to be YoFlash Wolf. Like, there needs to be a victim, man.
Passed.
Yes.
The torch has been passed.
Alright, so quick wrap-up of finals. Bomber just beating Cure 4-0. You know, the only criticizing you can do with Red Bull is, why the fuck a third-place match? Nathanias, your thoughts?
Because there's $2,000 on the line.
Yeah, but you split it half, and then you call it a day. There was like, you guys went from like, I think it was like 47,000 viewers. Like, oh my god, the finals! Like, no, guys, there's a third place. All right, go down 8K viewers. You know?
I don't know what the. I never actually bothered to ask. I just assumed. Usually, like with things like this, it's something that's stipulated somewhere. Mm-hmm. There's some weird stuff with how the WCS point distribution worked for this tournament because some players had already acquired points from previous.
But they had the same amount of WCS points.
Yeah, there might still have been something weird with that.
Okay.
Did they not play the third place match before the final?
No, they did, but usually you don't have third place matches unless it's like a double elim, where like the third, fourth is like played because it's necessary.
Like for all I know, it could have just been an instance of like maybe something with the people that organized the tournament didn't want there to be this ambiguous third, fourth thing where you don't have an actual third place player.
Okay.
Like,
No, I
wanted a
got
podium.
nothing against this. I
like,
kind of like it.
yeah. Like, I mean, they didn't do like a podium setup type thing, but you know, we didn't have a B stream the whole entire event, so there wasn't anywhere to really send it, right? If you didn't want to do it on main stage.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I'm sure there was like a decent reason, but honestly, I don't know why.
I mean,
it's put
like
there.
if that's the only criticism you get for an entire weekend of broadcast, you've done a pretty good job. So,
I think overall there wasn't really. I don't think there was like I didn't see or hear of any complaints, right? Except people obviously being upset that their favorite players lost or whatever. But you know,
The Red Bull events are pretty much the sickest events out there right now.
Yeah.
In terms of production and everything else.
It's always funny when you see people like on Reddit after the event, like, "Oh, here I bought a 24-pack," or "Hey, I drink a Red Bull every morning," and then they're like all hyped. It's really cool. Hopefully, do you have any? You probably know, Nathanias. You'll tell us when we go offline. But when are we gonna hear details for 2015?
I actually have no idea.
That poker face.
No, I asked them, dude. Trust me.
All
I'm at this point where I'm like, I've had a decent amount of work this year, but like I have to commit myself to living in California for pretty much all of next year if Red Bull does their stuff again. Yeah. And there's like WCS at ESL America. So I'm trying to figure out what my plans are for next year. And when I ask them, I don't get any response. But I think I wasn't even told that Day 9 was going to say this, but he said something like the announcement's going to be really soon when he got on the main stage at the very end.
Yeah, I saw something about that.
Yeah. I don't want to misquote him in case what I heard wasn't what he actually said.
Yeah,
but
no one linked the VOD, so yeah.
But I think you can check the end of like the Twitch VOD on it, and he says some sort of really soon date. And I wasn't told of any date, and I wasn't told that we were going to announce a date, but there you have it. I'm just as excited to hear as you guys, because aside from liking being employed, it's also the best tournament experience I think players have had. Like they take care of the players stupidly well. Like they treat them the same way I think as I guess like the way that the players describe it is like the athletes like when they do their other events. So
yeah, that's really cool. And it's really nice also for them that someone like Balmer, who's a sponsored athlete, won the thing. It's probably motivating them to keep doing it a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be... Imagine being him when his contract is up for renewal.
Well,
wow.
You know,
With just sitting down and being like, yep.
It's like
you just sit down and then you just like slam the trophy on the table and then recline a bit.
Really good.
Then
it was a really good year for him.
Then they just like press a button underneath the table that showers, Bomber with money, and then he leaves.
Yeah, I mean, like, what can he ask for more? Like, do you think we could see a second player sponsored by Red Bull?
I don't know.
I think they need to.
I don't know, because there are some players that it would make sense for them to do. Because, like, as far as I'm aware, the people who are in charge of, like, Bomber with Red Bull are not at all any of the people that I talk to or know with Red Bull. Like,
so Rob, like, as
it's handled by someone that doesn't have anything to do with our production, because I've never met anyone that's ever told me that they help manage his shit or whatever. So
Rob knows the guy, but that's it. That's the only connection.
He probably works with him, but I've never worked with him.
Okay.
So I don't know how that kind of stuff works. But I think there are a couple of, I guess it goes without saying, there's a lot of really good Koreans on the market right now. Like it wouldn't be, I can't imagine too difficult. Wouldn't be too difficult to get somebody that would also do a sick job at pushing your brand. Like when I think about players that I would like to, like if I could pick any one of the free agents to get picked up by like a really big team, fucking Parting, right? Like why wouldn't you? He's easily the most entertaining guy on the block, and if you just get
the new MC.
Yeah, just get a contractual stipulation or some shit that he has to cheese people on stream and make BM jokes, and he's gonna have like, if he consistently does that for a few more months, you're going to see him save our esports viewership scene because everyone's going to want to watch him, and then boom, you'll sell a million cans of Red Bull and everyone's happy.
Hey, great segue. Just a final note, Bomber wins $20,000, Red Bull DC. Great segue